Welcome back to the Two Casual MMA podcast, the podcast for the casuals from Two Casuals. And I'm really sorry it's been a little while in between mini podcasts, but I'm back today to carry on my greatest UFC knockouts in the casual era. So at number 5, it was Jorge Masvidal versus Ben Askren. Now we're into the top 4, the nitty gritty stuff. And coming in at number 4 is a big one. I think it is one of the greatest wins in UFC history. I think there is a lot behind it. I think there is just a massive amount of just everything that you want in a UFC knockout, in a redemption story, in a redemption arc. And my number 4 greatest knockout in UFC history comes at UFC 287 in the main event between the then middleweight champion Alex Periera and Israel Adesanya. Holy shit. Do I actually have to explain why this is one of the greatest knockouts in UFC history? Now, obviously, you guys know the story. The story is, obviously Izzy lost in dramatic fashion at UFC 281 at Madison Square Garden to Alex Periera, who he had lost to twice previously in kickboxing. Alex Periera obviously came over, shook the UFC up a little bit, and then got a title shot against Izzy, and nobody actually thought he could get it done. And then all of a sudden in that 5th round, he just got it done. But there is so much more to this knockout at UFC 287 that makes it so iconic. I think it is, well, firstly, it's a few things. The first one is the fact that Izzy had lost to AP 3 times. And already at that stage, if you're a normal everyday person, and Israel Adesanya is definitely not that. He is not an everyday person. He is a special, special man. The everyday people probably can't get a grasp, and that's including myself, on what sort of doubt must be going on inside your head when you lose 3 times to one man. Damn. If I ask my partner for a little bit of loving, for example, and if I ask her 3 times to get knocked back 3 times, which happens quite regularly, I also have to pay kudos to my resilience there because I just keep asking and asking and asking. But it gets to your head. Now you amplify something of this magnitude by 100, and you probably have what Israel Adesanya was going through in the lead up to UFC 287 in Miami. So there's already that there. Secondly, I think that, now this is me completely going off the cuff here. Usually with these, I really like going off the cuff because that's just how my brain works. You would have to think as well that with this fight, with the magnitude of this fight, with Izzy's status in the sport, with everything that Izzy had already proven in the sport, that it was almost a bit of a crossroads fight for Israel Adesanya. I feel like had he lost that fight, there could have been every chance that he could have hung him up then and there. So that makes this win and this knockout in particular so spectacular. Being one of the biggest stars in the history of the sport. Now, whether you love him, whether you hate him, Israel Adesanya is somebody who puts bums on seats. He is somebody that divides opinions. He is somebody that gets eyes onto the sport. He is one of the biggest stars in UFC history. Now, when you have somebody of that magnitude as well, everything just amplifies on top of that. So it was just such a big moment. And do you know what's funny? Looking back on it now, it feels bigger considering what Alex Periera has achieved in the sport since. So there's that. But this knockout is everything that it just transcends the sport. And again, there's going to be a lot of people that can't get on Izzy's side here, but how many times have your backs been against the wall, like in just everyday life, whether it be like bills to pay, whether it be, your car's broken down. So in a sense, you have to be able to like semi-root for the guy here. Because in that moment before the knockout, Israel's back was firmly against the wall, aka the fence. And a lot of people have said Izzy was using this rope-a-dope strategy. Now, obviously in that first round, it was going to be tit for tat, whatever. But the lead up to this actual knockout, a lot of people have said it's rope-a-dope. Izzy was using the rope-a-dope strategy. Even Izzy came out and said it's the rope-a-dope strategy. I believe that was a way to save face. I think that Israel Adesanya was moments, maybe 10 or 20 seconds away from getting finished again. I really do. And that's when Izzy bit down on the mouthpiece and said, I'm fucking going for glory here because there's no other way out. And if anybody questioned the dog of Israel Adesanya, whether that's a dog, is he a dog? Because there have been some title fights where, Izzy has strategically worked through each opponent, but has been considered a bit of a boring fight by a lot of people. And they said, is he a dog? Is he not a dog? Well, this fucking showcased it. This put it to absolute bed. When the man's back is against the wall, he is a different level of savage, and he showed it. He bit down on the mouthpiece, said, fuck it, I'm going for broke. And holy shit, did we come up with an iconic moment where he ended up knocking out Alex Periera. And it's funny now, like with AP's signature walkout with the arrow, Izzy has somewhat, I don't think he's taken that away a little bit, but it's just funny that like since that moment, even on the Prime Energy promotions and stuff, Izzy's still doing the arrow thing. But that was an iconic moment. AP hitting the deck and Izzy pulling out the arrows. The photo is all time, and I think that because of Izzy's status in the game, he's one of the greatest middleweights of all time. I think he's the second greatest middleweight of all time. He's one of the greatest mixed martial artists of all time. The status of Israel Adesanya just makes this knockout more iconic and a little bit more epic. And the fact of the matter is, since AP has gone on to do what he's done as well in the light heavyweight division, I think it makes it even more epic. It makes it more iconic now, considering AP is a certified Hall of Famer now. On top of that, 2-weight world champion. It's just, it just solidifies that knockout as one of the greatest moments in UFC history now, on top of that. So when you have two Hall of Famers going toe-to-toe against each other, and one of them pulling the Hail Mary of Hail Marys with the backstory that they had, the build-up that they had, the fact that one of the biggest UFC stars' back was against the wall, there is no doubt that it earns a place in my top 5 greatest knockouts in the casual era of the UFC. I don't give a shit if it's in the casual era. I don't give a shit if it was 20 years ago. This here, Israel Adesanya versus Alex Periera, UFC 287 in Miami, Florida, where Israel Adesanya became a 2-time middleweight champion. I don't care what era it's in. Considering everything, consider the story. It is one of the greatest moments in UFC history, bar none. But that is my number 4. We've got 3 more to do. Considering how epic that is, considering how epic that moment is, imagine what the next 3 are. The next 3, the top 3 greatest knockouts, in my opinion, in the casual era. Guys, if you like, what do we do? Like, subscribe, do what you got to do. The train keeps rolling. Sometimes the train gets a little bit halted. Life gets in the way. It's been a little while in between. It's been a couple of weeks, but I'm back. The UFC's back rolling, and I just wanted to get out some content for you all because I love doing this. I love the feedback. So any feedback, bad, good, no problem. Hit it in the comments, but if you like what you see, like and subscribe. Be sure to check out my number 3, which is coming in a couple of days' time. I'm going to be posting a heap of content leading up to Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier, which is next week. I'm super excited for that one. But in the meantime, I hope you guys enjoyed this mini podcast. Until next time, stay cool, casuals.